Единственный в огне, кто читает свои сны. Поклоняюсь темноте.
Hey y'all, what is up? What is good, Ghost Squad? How are y'all doing? Today, Black Ghostface is here to do the world's most extreme cheapskates by BMAs. We all know cheapskates. It's okay to be a cheapskate. It's like really okay, but when you take it too far, that's when you gotta stop. That's when you gotta stop. Like, yeah, you can go grab some coupons and go to the store, or get some coupons and go out to eat. Yeah, sure, because you're saving money, but there's a limit to being a cheapskate. So we're gonna be jumping in to see how extreme are these cheapskates. How extreme? Huh?
Hey, wanna save some money? Certainly cheaper than real parking sensors. As you just saw, there are some folk out there who just love finding strange, unique ways to save money. And while some are kinda ingenious, others are just hilariously embarrassing. We'll be covering all bases today, from dumpster diving royalty to one guy who actually lives in a dumpster, and one woman who's so cheap that she literally cooks lasagna in her dishwasher. Yeah, stay tuned for more on that as we check out the world's most extreme cheapskates.
Whoa. This ought to be interesting.
Stephanie Bennett.
What?
To kick us off, let me present to you a woman named Stephanie Bennett. Introduced to the world via the home of trashy reality TV, the TLC network. Back in 2011, TLC debuted its now classic show, Extreme Cheapskates, taking a peek into the lives of people who'll stop at nothing to save a buck. Stephanie was chosen among these tight-fisted folks for good reason. Despite working a well-paid job at a doctor's office, Stephanie loathes nothing more than spending her hard-earned cash. So much so, she has a bunch of bizarre rituals which she claims save her a fortune. It's true that the small things add up, which is why Stephanie doesn't believe in buying cotton wool balls for removing her makeup and nail polish. After all, why spend like $2 on cotton balls when you could use the lint from your dryer for free? And if you think that's strange, I'm only just getting started. While for most of us, shower time is an opportunity to relax as we lather up and perhaps belt out some of Celine Dion's greatest hits, in Stephanie's house it's quite literally a military operation. That is, she and her boyfriend first briefly splash their bodies, then shut off the water, lather up with suds, and then quickly rinse off, aka a military shower. Oh, and to make sure that her trooper of a boyfriend is following her washing rules, Stephanie has even set up a baby monitor camera system in the shower. Unsurprisingly, that same lack of generosity also extends to the electricity too, as Stephanie has just one light bulb that she carries from room to room. And while she claims that this saves her around $60 a month, is that $60 savings really worth the trouble? Besides a couple other freakishly frugal honorable mentions, such as scraping leftover sauces back into the bottle or asking the butcher for discounted expired meat, this next one of Stephanie's quirks is, dare I say, sacrilegious. Italians, look away now! Always on the prowl for a new way to save some moolah, Stephanie had a light bulb moment when she realized that her dishwasher reached 170 degrees during its cycle, which was not only the perfect temperature to clean dishes and kill bacteria, but apparently great for cooking a lasagna. Alright, nope, I quit. This show's over. Alright, if I must continue. After preparing her lasagna, Stephanie would wrap up the casserole dish in aluminum foil, to protect it from being blasted by jets of dirty dishwater, and allegedly cook it, all the while cleaning the other dishes. It sounds totally unbelievable, and trust me, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of just how real or not TLC's Extreme Cheapskates show is a little later. But here's the thing. It pains me to say, but the dishwasher lasagna is actually legit. Technically, as long as you ideally pre-cook any meat in your meat sauce, it is possible to cook lasagna in the dishwasher. Mythbusters themselves tested and confirmed that it was viable, if a little mushy. But that doesn't mean you should now, does it, Stephanie? What next? Washer dryer spaghetti?
Okay. Alright. There's so much to talk about for that segment. There's so much to talk about for that, and I'm gonna start with the fact that you got a baby monitor and you are watching your trooper of a boyfriend turn the water, get your body wet just for about 2 seconds, turn it off, and turn the water back on for another 2 seconds to get as much soap off you, and there you go, I'm clean. I don't think that's worth dating. I don't think someone like that is worth dating at all. You got a baby monitor in the shower to make sure that your boyfriend is following your water rules. Now, I ain't gonna complain about the light bulb. Okay, taking it to every room. Yeah, sure. Okay, you're saving electricity. I'm not gonna complain about that. That's like legit pretty smart though. I mean, if you're living like by yourself, okay, yeah, light bulb, put it in that room that you're about to be in. When you're about to get out of the room, take that out. Okay, I don't mind that. But if you're living with people, like, if you have a family, kids, you might wanna focus on that light bill. But the lasagna though, the lasagna, Garfield would be ashamed of you. Garfield would be disgusted by you. I mean, can't even look you in the eye anymore. Don't even want to look at your face, let alone eye to eye. Don't even want to look at you. That's how bad it is. You put lasagna in a dishwasher, asking for expired meat as well, bro. I watch TOC videos of extreme cheapskates. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that. I'm gonna get back to that.
Cash for trash.
Cash.
They say one man's trash is another man's treasure. I mean, check out this mattress I found just lying on the sidewalk. And I'm not alone in my trash cycling. As a 2017 survey amongst U.S. citizens found that 44% of participants would consider or already have dabbled in the art of dumpster diving. And hygiene and safety aside, it seems there are plenty of riches for the taking. Enter the dynamic duo Veronica and Liz. Who are these two lovely ladies, you're asking? Well, they're professional dumpster divers. Yep, you heard that right. Scavenging dumpsters far and wide, this dumpster double act sell on their findings and, according to them, rake in around $4,000 to $5,000 a month each. That's a potential collective annual income of $120,000 just from selling trash. Sure, it sounds impossible, but Veronica and Liz assure that beyond the trash and trinkets, there are plenty of high-value items discarded, such as designer goods, antiques, and custom furniture pieces. With lucky finds also including high-quality appliances, these treasures can bring in anything from $300 to $1,000. Not a bad day's work, right? But it's actually harder work than you might imagine. In order to get the creme de la creme trash, the dumpster duo travel from city to city, typically targeting affluent neighborhoods or college accommodation areas when it's time for students to move out, and it often requires working the night shift from 10 p.m. until 3 a.m. Similarly, with quite a literal taste for trash is Sophie Jules Anderson, who gets the majority of her food from trash cans. Yep, targeting grocery store dumpsters, Sophie claims that most stores throw out perfectly good food for the simple reason that it's expired. However, in most cases, these are simply best before dates, meaning that the food isn't necessarily bad, just not at optimum quality. Use by dates, on the other hand, are usually an estimation of when the product will no longer be safe for consumption and may cause foodborne illnesses. Still, if a product has exceeded its use by date and you neither smell nor see any signs of spoilage, then it's at your discretion if you want to risk eating it. And hey, Sophie seems to be doing just fine all the while, only spending $88 on groceries a year, which is a pretty hefty savings when you consider that in 2023, the average U.S. citizen spent around $5,000 on groceries over the year. But not so fast. Before you go diving headfirst into the next trash can you see, you should be aware that it can be pretty risky business. Don't believe me? Well, back in 2020, 30-year-old dumpster diver Stephanie Cox from North Carolina was out late at night doing doing her regular rounds. Only on this occasion, Stephanie never returned home. As she trawled through the trash cans, a garbage truck innocently collected the dumpster she was inside. And well, given the hydraulic compression systems inside garbage trucks, you can probably guess what happened. It wasn't until a week later that Stephanie's unfortunately final fate was discovered at a local landfill, making her legacy a cautionary tale as to the dangers of dumpster diving. What's more, the practice is actually illegal in a lot of places, so be sure to check the legality and, of course, safety before you embark on any scavenging missions of your own.
Wow. Wow. Okay. First off, the fact that those two went from city to city, going into neighborhoods, going through the garbage cans, getting items. It's like a game. It's like a simulated game. You're going through people's trash, and it's like you know the saying, another person's trash is another person's treasure, and they was treasure hunting. They was treasure hunting. Now, I'll say this though. If you look outside the box, it is kind of genius to where, okay, if I had to choose rather than grocery shopping from garbage cans to item shopping, treasure hunting in garbage cans to see like the iPad, antique table, you can sell it. I mean, you get out the garbage can, clean it, and everything, make it look good, you can sell it, making money off of it. Yeah, I mean, I would rather take that option than to eat food from a garbage can, if I had to choose. So, that's pretty smart, to get items from garbage cans than to eat canned beans from a garbage can, knowing that there's a reason why it's in the garbage can. It expired. Their mold has transformed to a living organism. Why do you think I'm about to go and think that's edible? I'm not that desperate to eat. Okay, I'm not that doggone desperate. I would literally make a butter, put butter on the bread and call it food. I'll call it a meal than to go in a garbage can and eat whatever is in there. You got me messed up. Treasure hunting is much better than food hunting, expired food hunting.
Victoria Hunt. While it's easy to laugh at some cheapskates' money-saving ideas, it is, unfortunately, the only way some people can make ends meet. Victoria Hunt, however, is not some people, but rather a literal millionaire. And after also appearing on TLC's Extreme Cheapskates, she proved that there is no length she won't go to in order to save her dough. Representing Columbus, Ohio, Victoria has a few, interesting ideas when it comes to budgeting. For instance, while the average U.S. household spends around $73 on their monthly water bill, Victoria parts with just $20. How? Well, believe it or not, Victoria has never used her shower. Well, she's an avid gym goer anyway, so why not make every penny count and do all her showering there? She also tracks how much energy each appliance in her house uses, so much so her freezer is on a 12-hour on, 12-hour off setting. Considering how she regularly brings home food from dumpsters out back of her local bakery, I don't imagine she's all that concerned about her food going bad. But there is one habit of Victoria's that is completely unforgivable. Pains me to say it, but Victoria literally pees in a jar to save water on flushing. Yeah, I wish I were lying. I mean, imagine forcing yourself to squat over a tiny jar every time you pee, and it's saving you only $10 a month. Oh, and
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you just figured out Victoria's secret. Oh my god, I thought it couldn't get any worse. But it got worse. She pees in a jar to save water. Alright.
and you're also a millionaire. But this dual-purpose jar, it seems, enables Victoria to collect her urine and drizzle it over her compost piles in the yard. I mean, sure, the phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen in urine might make it good for plants, but Victoria, have you thought about those plants' feelings? The disrespect. But what do you think to millionaire Victoria's frugal ways? Savvy or absurd? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.
Why it taste so sour?
Dumpster dweller. Ah, London, rich with history and culture. It's no wonder that it's one of the most iconic capitals in the world. However, if you want to live there, well, that's where things can get pretty pricey, which of course doesn't bode well for the average cheapskate. So with that in mind, allow me to introduce you to 28-year-old Harrison Marshall, who pays just £50 a month when the average rent in the city is £2,100. How is that even possible? Well, it's simple. Just live in a dumpster. No, seriously, Harrison literally lives in a dumpster, or in what the British call a skip. It all began when he couldn't find anywhere reasonable to live in the major city, prompting him to think outside the box, or rather, inside the box. Having shelled out £4,000 to purchase, expand, and decorate the dumpster, which was of course thoroughly cleaned, he transformed it from shabby to chic, which he documented on his Instagram page, The Skip House. With a space to eat and sleep, plus the ability to literally move house when needed, Harrison's humble abode has everything he needs. Well, all but running water or a bathroom. Thankfully, a porta potty stands nearby, donated by fans of the project, and the neighborhood gym provides facilities for showering. Clearly, Harrison is saving thousands a year by living in a glorified trash can. But given that technically prisoners have better amenities, is it really worth it? Melody Rose.
Oh my god, before I even watch Melody Rose. First off, okay, so living in a skip, I know nothing about that. Living in a skip house. Now, seeing how he customized it. Now, the bathroom got a porta potty and got a gym nearby. Could take a shower. I mean, hey, working out, take a good shower, boom. But that ain't, I'm not gonna lie, that is actually pretty doggone smart. Like, he turned he turned nothing into something, and he made it work. He made it work, and I would say that by far is probably the most smartest way I have seen to turn nothing into something. Yeah, sure, it's small, but at least he's not paying over $2,000. He's paying just under 100, under 500, under a whole grand. I'll be like this. If he wants to make it big, he's going to. I believe he's going to, because what I'm trying to say is, he did it right. He did it smart. He thought outside the box. That's one of the best plans I've ever seen, to where, you know what? Instead of me trying to find a house that's over $1,000, let me think outside the box. Let me find something. It's like, think about it. It's like the apocalypse, right? You found somewhere. It's like living in a treehouse. It's like he made a treehouse, but it's just in a garbage can. That was genius. That's actually like genius. He saved thousands of dollars. He made it work. I'm actually proud. I'm actually proud of that one. But Melody Rose.
Now, the only thing cheaper than a cheapskate is a hillbilly cheapskate.
Oh, boy.
Meet Melody Rose, who in her own words is a hillbilly cheapskate, and is another star of TLC's Extreme Cheapskates. Living in a trailer with her husband and 2 teenage sons, let's just say they're a very close family. After all, Melody forces them all to share the same cold bath. Okay, so not at the same time, but nonetheless the same water, which is pretty evident considering the water looks like it's inhabited by a swamp monster. But should they be feeling particularly fancy and want a hot soak, very modern, I know, well, Melody boils the water on an open fire and fills up a big old rusty tub out in the yard. 4 Seasons, eat your heart out. But not only do they bathe in a somewhat medieval way, they poop like it too, as Melody also has a strict no toilet paper rule. However, they don't go without wiping. That would be barbaric. No, they use newspaper. And to make matters worse, they keep a bag full of these crap-smeared papers next to the toilet and burn them in the yard once it's full. Nothing quite like gathering around the backyard poop fire. And when it comes to dental hygiene, Melody also goes to extreme lengths. Now granted, dental work fees can be expensive. However, removing your own teeth with a hammer and chisel like she proudly proclaims to have done is certainly not advised. But beyond the bathroom, Melody also saves energy by having a handheld lantern as the home's only light source. Not only that, but all laundry is done by hand and chilled foods are kept in a hole in the yard. But perhaps the weirdest thing Melody does to save money is force the whole family to share one bed like Charlie Bucket's grandparents. There are other bedrooms, but they're blocked off to, quote, save on heating and cooling. Yeah, all I'm gonna say is having once been a teenage boy myself, let's have a moment of silence for her sons. Now, it's pretty hard to believe that anyone would truly live like this, so it's hardly surprising that the credibility of this reality show has time and again come under fire. But while you might be inclined like I was to believe it's entirely fake, it seems that the people are actually real despite some reality TV exaggeration. They're not just actors. In fact, the hillbilly cheapskate herself, Melody, was later interviewed by her local newspaper, who not only confirmed she was real, but that she had bad things to say about the show. Melody claimed that while she is a proud cheapskate, about 90% of what was portrayed on the show was actually false. And just for the record, she'd like people to know that, contrary to popular belief, she and her family do not wipe their butts with newspaper. The producers reportedly asked her to imply the more extreme stuff like that, seemingly telling her that if she did, the show would rake in more viewers and she might be able to get her own TV show. Sounds kinda messed up, right? By contrast, our PJR amigo, Victoria Hunt, was interviewed separately from the show and actually proudly confirmed a lot of the strange behaviors she exhibited on the show. Various other participants have also given interviews where their impressions of the show range from it being pretty honest to manipulative and deceptive on the parts of the producers. So looks like, as is often the case with reality TV, the wacky show was a mixture of grains of truth and moderate exaggeration, with the occasional total lie sprinkled in. Seems those pesky TV networks will stop at nothing for views. And on a totally unrelated note, here I am on bended knee asking you to go ahead and show my like and subscribe button some TLC. Pun fully intended. Alright, I'm done begging. Let's move on.
So let me get this straight. TLC told them, if you do this, we would get more views and, get your own TV show. Which I know probably that part is a lie. But on the hillbilly cheapskate, most of those was false. We do not wipe our butts with newspapers. The director told us to do that for more extreme cheapskate moments, right? But sharing the water and seeing how dirty that water was too, bro, I don't think even Shrek would take a bath in that water. I don't think Shrek would even go near that water. The moment you get out of the water, that's when you let it go down the drain and put in a new patch of water. But the fact they're using the same water, the fact they sleep in the same bed, okay, sleeping in the same bed, okay, sure. But if husband and wife sleeping in the same bed, cool, that's fine. But if you have your kids, and not just your kids, your teenage kids sleeping with your parents, that is a problem. I'm sure the sons would love to sleep in their own room. Maybe a bunk bed, maybe. But sleeping beside your parents, sure you can do that if you're like a newborn baby. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. But if you're like over 13 years old, maybe 10 years old, maybe, but still, you're going to be at an age to where I want to sleep in my own room. I want to sleep on, my very own bed, sleeping beside my mother and father. Yeah, it just feels kind of weird. It just feels a little off a little bit. I mean, yeah, you could be like 4 or 5 years old. Mommy, Daddy, I had a bad dream. There's a monster in my bed. Can I sleep with you guys? Yeah, sure. Newborn, kid, but the moment you hit like teenager, I want to sleep in my own bed. That's it.
The internet's cheapest.
That's it.
Reddit, if you're unfamiliar with the site, is a place where anything goes, and the subreddit Ask Reddit is a channel where you can ask any question your heart desires. Well, several threads have asked what was the cheapest thing people have seen other people do. And there were some golden responses. In one Redditor's anecdote, he explained how when he was a kid, he and his brother went on a trip to the zoo with their tightwad grandma. Such a tightwad that when the boys got hungry, she refused to pay the zoo's restaurant prices and instead fed them the $2 crackers that were sold to feed the goats.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, if you ask me. She's not the only cheapo grandma in town, though.
crackers.
Another Redditor's grandma who was pretty wealthy saw nothing wrong with buying her granddaughter used underwear from a garage sale for Christmas. Laugh now, but just remember who'll be putting you in a nursing home, Grandma. In other shameless cheapskatery, one user explained how one of their friends is so cheap that when he joins them for restaurant meals, he always orders, at most, a small side and then audaciously eats everyone's leftovers at the end. Cheapskate? More like bottom feeder. Speaking of dining out, we've all had our fair share of disastrous dates, but this next one takes the prize. Went on a date with a cheapskate, one poor girl shared how she was forced to hide in his trunk so that he only had to pay one admission at the drive-in theater.
No. 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 You had me at grandma buying her kids, her nephews, her grandsons, $2 crackers that you use to feed goats. But you got it to where you gotta tell your girlfriend get in the trunk so I could pay that a price for one ticket. Nah. I really hope it wasn't a second date. Nah, yo, folks, do not. I can't say don't date a cheapskate. You just have to know on your first date. You just have to know. Analyze that individual. You have to.
Really hope there wasn't a
That's
second date.
terrible. That was
Solar
terrible.
camper. As we've seen, rent prices around the world have skyrocketed in recent years, and these prices have quite literally driven one creative New Jersey cheapskate out of the rental market into living in his car. Meet Arslan, a medical technologist from the US. On his TikTok and YouTube channel, he shares the fascinating details of how, by living in a number of cars for over a year, he's managed to save tens of thousands. And while the thought of living in a car might be enough to send your average claustrophobe haywire, Arslan surprisingly has a pretty decent setup. Take a look for yourself.
First thing we see is a fridge. It's powered by my inverter through the solar system. My trash can right here. You can see some controls for some LEDs.
Okay.
Pretty neat, huh? And while I'm sure for most people this wouldn't exactly be ideal, Arslan seems pretty pleased with his cost-effective motorhomes. I mean, with a bed, desk, fridge, sink, hot plate, electricity from rooftop solar panels, and even a cassette-style toilet, which is reportedly stink-free and easy to empty, Arslan has everything he could ever need. There are a few issues, though, to bear in mind. While it's not illegal to sleep in your car in New Jersey, doing so for an extended period could be classed as camping, which is illegal outside of approved zones. So Arslan regularly has to uproot from his parking spot for pastures new. On top of that, the initial setup of converting a car or SUV into a livable space can easily run up several $1,000s, not to mention the price of the car itself. But if you already own a car and that ever-moving minimalist, very cozy lifestyle is something you're okay with, it could have some appeal. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Extreme.
First of all, why didn't he just get an RV? Why didn't he just get a trailer? Like that's my problem right here. Why didn't he just get a trailer? You know, I mean, if you want to live inside your vehicle, there's a thing called a trailer, RV, something to where you can, you know, you can either drive one or you can have your vehicle, attach it to a giant size, transportation, and there you go. Problem solved. Like it'll be much bigger, more space, and you wouldn't have to live in your car. Now, I will say this on a positive note. That is pretty creative to say, well, I could get an RV, could get a trailer and everything, right? And yeah, but I mean, normally people would get that, but again, he thought outside the box. He got creative and made his vehicle a mini RV. There you go. Positive. I mean, like, most people say, like, are you, bro, just get an RV. Like, what are you, crazy? That's a positive note. He made a mini RV. He turned a car to a mini RV. He made it into something. Like, you would think he wouldn't have enough space, enough room, but he made something out of it. Got his little station, little kitchen, table, bed, toilet, stink free, like, and just throw it away, little miniature trash can. Like, he turned it into something. He really did. So I can say I am impressed by this one as well.
Discounts.
Extreme.
We all love a freebie.
Discounts.
Heck, I once knew a guy who would dress up in different disguises to get unlimited free samples at the grocery store. It was me. I was that guy. Anyway, a great way to get some freebies is the art of couponing. And well, there are some people who've taken this to the extreme and devised genius ways to swipe thousands of dollars worth of goods for next to nothing. Meet Siobhan, third-generation couponer who appeared on another classic TLC show, Extreme Couponing, where she was seen continuing a tradition of her ma and Meemaw. This ancestral penny pinching is so serious that Siobhan literally inherited a huge collection of non-expiring coupons from her late grandmother, continuing her bargain hunting mission posthumously. Thanks to her grandmother's teaching, Siobhan now has a hefty stockpile of goods worth $60,000, which, thanks to the power of coupons, she claims to have only spent $800 on. Flaunting her couponing prowess in one televised shopping trip, Siobhan snatched over $1,400 worth of groceries for just $21.23. Man.
No. Bro, she made a train of groceries. Can you imagine seeing someone do that? Wait, have you seen someone actually do this? Like, for real? Have you seen someone literally got like 10 carts of groceries and you just seeing that person dragging 10 carts of groceries, spending over $1,000? Like, you are, bro, literally, you, ma'am, are the MVP of grocery shopping, but since you're spending it, with coupons, you only spend
$100 worth of groceries for just $21.23. Man, the cashier responsible for scanning all those coupons must have been at risk of a sprained wrist. But speaking of extreme savings these days, so long as you're happy to give away all your personal data on their loyalty websites, many shops, cafes, and eateries might just give you a little treat on the house for your birthday. Totally worth it, right? Well, YouTuber Zach Alsop decided to take full advantage of this scheme and put it to the test when he faked his own birthday. With the aim being to get as many freebies as possible, Zach paraded around central London donning his birthday regalia and claiming whatever he could. So how successful was Zach's birthday scam? Well, impressively, he managed to rake in 2 cookies from Subway, a cake from Costa Coffee, a bunch of free treats from Greg's Bakery, a donut from Krispy Kreme, a drink from Cafe Nero, chicken nuggets, and a banana from Leon, nachos from Chipotle, a cocktail, a glass of bubbly, and a burger, and a free session of ice skating. Not a bad haul, right? I mean, especially considering the value of his items came to a total of £87 and 89 pence, all completely free. That's quite literally a steal. While some might call it cheap, I personally think it's a stroke of genius. And to quote Zach directly, fake birthdays equal profit and extortion.
That actually, yeah, that's actually pretty smart. But still, though, now you know why. For those y'all that probably never like use coupons or whatnot, now you know why how useful they can really be. Imagine you're going to the store, literally. I mean, bro, even it would be amazing to where you grab $1,400 worth of groceries, and you're spending under $30. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the stores would be empty if everyone tried that? You really thinking the apocalypse has showed up? The grocery stores are empty. Nah, it's only because of everyone's trying this new thing. Where everyone, it has a train of carts. And every single cart is filled with groceries. And they're spending over $1,000 every single time. Bro, you wouldn't even need to go to the grocery store for the next 6 months to a year. Now, normally, if you went to the grocery store, how much would you normally spend? 2, 3, maybe 4, probably 5 if you're lucky. You know, if you're lucky. But normally, it'd be around maybe $200-300. I'm guessing. But $1,400, and she only spent under $30. If that ain't the most stroke of genius I have ever heard in my life, I don't know what is.
How to be a cheapskate. Let's move on now to a quick-fire round of do-it-yourself cheapskate ideas from the interwebs that you can carry forward into your own life, albeit with varying degrees of effectiveness. For starters, check out this Aussie guy who went viral for his cheap grocery store hack. I mean, while it kinda makes sense if your store uses weight to calculate fruit prices, it would only really work if you were planning on buying one banana and eating it right then and there. But at least he used a bag. I mean, just imagine handing the cashier your naked bananas. But according to the cheapskate in the video, his refusal to pay an extra penny or two for banana skins was more of a protest on inflation. Yeah, that'll show those fat cat grocery store CEOs. They're gonna rue the day. Speaking of fat cats, landlords are notoriously tight-fisted, which was certainly the case here when one person's landlord decided to cut off their heating in their Minnesota apartment whilst it was minus 40 degrees outside. Legalities aside, it seems the cheap landlord forgot the arrangement that he pays that property's electric bill, so the tenant cleverly positioned a fan next to the stovetop which circulated the heat. Pretty genius, even if it is probably a bit of a hazard. Please don't try this at home. But while we're on the topic of hazardous cheapskate ideas, just get a load of this hot water tap spotted in Vietnam. Yeah, I'd be interested to know just how effective that tiny candle is at heating cold water, let alone what happens when the wick burns down further. In another hilarious bathroom DIY project, one cheapskate came up with a rather interesting shower head replacement, and while I hate to say it, this duct tape beer can seems to be doing a pretty decent job at being a shower head. If only it were pouring out beer. One thing I'm not quite so convinced about, however, is this next cheapskate who, rather than replace their car's broken lock, fitted a padlock instead. And sure, it's functional, but at what cost? But that's just the thing with cheapskates. Ease of use and comfort always come second to cost, as can quite literally be seen with this disaster of a couch. But hey, it does the job, right? Similarly, another cheap workaround is this barbecue grill made from a grocery store shopping cart. Hygiene aside, and the fact that you're not really supposed to steal those things, I guess you could say that it does technically work. Perfect for grilling up some roadkill. And how about this dirt cheap alternative to a phone case? Yes, you're correct in thinking this would be absolutely useless at protecting the phone if dropped, but it's just so cheap. Functionality is not a word synonymous with this next cheap contraption either, which was spotted on Facebook Marketplace in Oklahoma. For the not-so-cheap price of $69 and listed as used roller skates, I'd be interested to know who on earth used these monstrosities. I mean, if a pair of rubber boots taped to some office chair wheels can pass as roller skates, then surely I can pass for Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Right. Moving on and taking thriftiness to its most uncomfortable extreme, we have this toilet paper splitting machine from legendary YouTube inventor Household Hacker, which takes one roll of 2-ply and divides it into 2 rolls of 1-ply. All that effort. I think I'd rather use newspaper. Either way, being ultra thrifty isn't anything new. Case in point, the Tightwad Gazette. This was a newsletter published between 1990 and 1996 by Amy Decision, dedicated to frugal living. While there were plenty of genuinely useful tips, some of the more extreme were weird. She advocated for washing and reusing aluminum foil to save money, and extending the life of dental floss by carefully rinsing and drying it after each use. She also suggested creating a mystery casserole by combining leftover bits of food from the refrigerator, and would have contests with her family to guess the ingredients. She would then freeze leftover mystery meals without labeling them, turning frozen dinners into a game of culinary roulette. It's all pretty wholesome, but plucking pieces of mystery meat out of your teeth with pre-used dental floss? I'll pass on that, thanks, Amy.
About to pass out. Wow, so that is it for this video. I'm gonna say that the two, you already know the two. You already know the ones that I think was straight up thinking outside the box, stroke of genius, creativity, way to save money. You already know which ones I like. So, I'm going to say this. Throughout this video, do not date a cheapskate. The moment you find out on the first date that this guy, this girl is a cheapskate, that will be the first and last time that's happening. Now, there'll be times that, okay, can you make it work? All right? Can you make it work if you was dating a cheapskate? Can you? Can you make it work? Do you even think it's going to work? Saving money is a good thing. All right? Being a big spender, nah. It's okay to be a cheapskate. Like, it's like balance. You can spend big money, like from time to time. Like if you really see something good worth getting, like worth every penny, yeah, sure. But you don't want to spend big over and over again like that. That's how you get broke. So that's why it's okay to be a cheapskate. Just don't take it too far. Just keep it in the neutral. Like, you want to be a big spender? Sure. Just, a moment to spend big. But majority of the time, though, yeah, you can be a cheapskate, especially when you go to the store. You see homegirl, she used coupons to go to the store and spend over $1,000 of food and only had to pay under $30. That's smart. Can you imagine you go to the store and you have to pay $1,400 in cash? No savings, no coupons, no Kroger card, none of that. You have to spend hard-earned cash. Think about that. That $1,400 could be going to the mortgage, to the bills, to the loans, all that. Out of the $1,400, you spend under $30. You got $1,300-ish left. Bruh, what? Genius. But hey, hope y'all enjoyed the video, y'all. If y'all want to stay tuned, you can stop the buttons down below. You will see the next video. I ain't gonna lie though, there are some TLC videos I do want to watch. I seen some, which was that Extreme Cheapskates, but I did not see that hillbilly one. I didn't see the black chick putting the lasagna in the dishwasher. Yeah, like, see, stuff like that, that's taking it too far. That's taking it too far. But if I say the world's extreme cheapskate, out of this one, I had to say it had to be the homegirl that pees in a jar. I had to say probably that one. Homegirl pees in a jar. Yeah. And the hillbilly cheapskate though too, like sharing the water. Yeah. You'll never see that. You will never see that at all. Like that's something you don't see every day, but even if that wasn't true, even if still, that's like something someone should never do. Anyone should never do that. But I hope you have a good day, y'all. Stay safe, and I will catch y'all later.